into both apprenticeship and romance, and seemed to be floundering desperately through both. Young Prince Dutiful, poised on the lip of his betrothal to the out-islander Narcheska, had turned to me as a mentor, not just as a teacher for both skill and wit, but as someone to guide him through the rapids of adolescence to manhood. I did not lack for people who cared about me, nor for folk I deeply cherished. But for all that, I stood more alone than ever I had before. The strangest part was my slow realization that I chose that isolation. Night Eyes was irreplaceable. He had worked a change on me in the years that we had shared. He was not half of me. Together, we made a whole. Even when Hap came into our life, we regarded him as a juvenile and a responsibility. The wolf and I were the unit that made the decisions. Ours was the partnership. With Night Eyes gone, I felt I would never again share that arrangement with any other, animal or human. When I was a lad, spending time in the company of Lady Patience and her companion Lacey, I often overheard their blunt appraisals of the men at court. One assumption Patience and Lacey had shared was that a man or woman who had passed their 30th year unwed was likely to remain so. "Set in his ways," Patience would declare at the gossip that some greying lord had suddenly begun to court a young girl. "Spring has turned his head, but she'll find soon enough there is no room in his life for a partner. He's had it all his own way too long." And so I began, very slowly, to see myself. I was often lonely. I knew that my wit quested out for companionship. Yet that feeling and that questing were like a reflex, the twitching of a severed limb. No one, human or animal, could ever fill the gap that Night Eyes had left in my life. I had said as much to the fool during a rare moment of conversation on our way back to Buckkeep. It had been one of the nights when we had camped beside our homeward road. I had left him with Prince Dutiful and Laurel, the Queen's huntswoman. They had huddled around the fire, making the best of the cold night and sparse food. The prince had been withdrawn and morose, still raw with the pain of losing his bond cat. For me to be near him was like holding a previously burned hand near a flame. It woke all my own pain more sharply. So I had made the excuse of getting more wood for the fire and gone apart from them all. Winter was announcing its approach with a dark and chill evening. There were no colours left in the dim world, and away from the firelight I groped like a mole as I searched for wood. At last I gave it up and sat down on a stone by the creekside to wait for my eyes to adjust. But sitting there alone, feeling the cold press in around me, I had lost all ambition to find wood, or indeed to do anything at all. I sat and stared, listening to the sound of the running water and letting the night fill me with its gloom. The fool came to me, moving quietly through the darkness. He sat down on the earth beside me, and for a time we said nothing. Then he reached over, set a hand on my shoulder, and said, "I wish there was some way I could ease your grieving." It was a useless thing to say, and he seemed to feel that, for after those words he was silent. Perhaps it was the ghost of Night Eyes who reproached me for my surly silence to our friend, for after a time I groped for some words to bridge the dark between us. "It is like the cut on your head, fool. Time will heal it, but until it does, all the best wishes in the world cannot make it heal faster. Even if there were some way to disperse this pain, some herb or drunkenness that would numb it, I could not choose it. Nothing will ever make his death better. All I can look forward to is becoming accustomed to being alone." Despite my effort, my words still sounded like a rebuke. Worse, it seemed a self-pitying one. It is a tribute to my friend that he did not take offence at them. He only rose gracefully. "I'll let you be, then. I think you are choosing to mourn alone, and if that is your choice, I'll respect it. I do not think it is your wisest choice, but I'll respect it." He paused and gave a small sigh. "I perceive something about myself now. I came because I wanted you to know that I knew you were in pain, and not because I could heal you of it, but because I wanted you to be aware that I shared that pain through our connection. I suspect there is an aspect of selfishness to that I wished you also to be